Good morning, everyone. Good morning. There's a little energy. People's coffee starting to kick in. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Shared Value Leadership Summit. There we go. Thank you. Good. I am delighted to help set the stage for today. We have a really compelling agenda with some excellent conversations with senior executives about delivering on the promise of purpose. I hope folks enjoyed day 1 yesterday. We have Christian from Nestle to thank for a really helpful summary of the day at the end of the day yesterday. I'm not going to try to repeat both his wit and the concision with which he summarized the day. I'll just say that I thought it was a really good day, some provocative insights that we heard from folks, and a lot of opportunities to learn from our fellow travelers in this work. So we pivot to day 2. As many of you know, my colleague Lauren Smith and I took over the role of co-CEO of FSG about 10 months ago. FSG, as many of you also probably know, was founded by Mark Kramer and Michael Porter about 20 years ago now, and was led by Mark and our colleague John Kania up until last June when we took over. Needless to say, it's been a tremendous honor and responsibility to take the baton from our treasured colleagues. Lauren and I are looking forward to helping to lead with others FSG's next chapter in our history. And I'm starting with this because I want to spend a few moments just sharing a few thoughts on FSG's role in the world. At FSG, we are deeply committed to social change and shifting those systems that are holding inequities in place. That guides all of the work that we do. That is our purpose. And to achieve this purpose, we focus primarily on shifting the mindsets and behaviors of key actors in the system, primarily companies and foundations. We also work with others, nonprofits and cross-stakeholder efforts, as folks know, but these 2 segments are our primary areas of influence. And we believe that companies are critical and powerful actors in helping to affect the change that we aspire for. It is why we have hosted this summit for the last 9 years. It is why we invest so much time and energy in researching and writing about innovative corporate practices. And it is why we are dissatisfied with the status quo. We believe companies can aspire for more and can achieve more. So as we discuss purpose and shared value today, I think it's important to name and reflect on a few of the trends that are happening outside this room so we can help inform our work. So I'll offer a few thoughts on this. First, folks may have seen that there's been a little bit of criticism of the shared value concept recently. This notion of win-win being potentially a false notion. Some folks may have seen the Winners Take All book, and there's been a lot of commentary on this, essentially suggesting that this win-win notion is actually win-lose. It allows the people who have wealth and power to continue to hold on to that wealth and power to the detriment of those who don't have wealth and power. So, at FSG and the Shared Value Initiative, we've been deeply reflecting on this topic, obviously. It would be odd not to. We are asking ourselves these questions. Are we shifting the systems that are holding inequities in place, or are we really just serving to perpetuate those systems that are holding those inequities in place? How can we ensure that our purpose work and our shared value work is not exacerbating the challenges for those who have the least amount of power, the least amount of voice in our communities? As Nilofer suggested yesterday, how can we avoid this air sandwich where the folks at the bottom have information that the folks at the top don't have? That's a question that we're wrestling with, and we look forward to sort of continuing to engage on that with you all. The second, and forgive me for the folks who are not from the US, but this is a very US-centric issue at this point, is that our country is going through a deep awakening and reckoning on the topic of race. We know that structural racism and institutional racism are clear drivers of multi-generational inequities. We know that, it's factual. There's some actors in the system that deeply understand that. There's other actors in the system, including corporations, that have less awareness about this and have been less proactive on this. And there's some companies who, frankly, are deeply unaware. And at FSG and the Shared Value Initiative, we are continuing to evolve and incorporate this approach and these dimensions to social change in our work. That said, I do want to thank the folks who offered some feedback to us directly yesterday, as well as some commentary on Twitter, about the lack of racial diversity in this room. We agree. This room does not reflect the communities that we're seeking to benefit from shared value approaches. Those voices are not in this room. So we will continue to explore ways to be better at that, because we know we need to be. And in that spirit, there are things that we have been doing to try to bring new perspectives to the work that we're doing, through research, through writing, and through engagement activities. And I don't know if, I'd love to see a show of hands of folks that have been able to go through the Advancing Women at Work gallery experience that's right around there. Okay, it's maybe less than half. That's unacceptable. Folks need to go there at the break or at lunch. It's really a compelling and riveting way to experience through the eyes of individual women who are doing frontline work what they experience in those jobs. So we're trying to bring that experience, that voice. And I would love for everyone to absorb and reflect on the 12 evidence-based practices that we've laid out there that help women advance in the workplace. That's one. Other things we've been doing, we've benefited from partnerships with others who have more experience in this work. We know we're not experts in racial equity work. We need to bring folks to the table who have that. So as an example, we've been working with PolicyLink, which is a racial justice and social justice nonprofit. Recently, over the last 2 or 3 years, we've been researching and writing on this concept of the competitive advantage of racial equity, essentially how to think about inequities as business opportunities and ways to pursue that. You'll hear from Michael McAfee, who's the CEO of PolicyLink, on stage later today talking about that. So as we at FSG and the Shared Value Initiative seek to achieve this social change in the world, we acknowledge that we need to evolve our own work. We need to shift our own mindsets and behaviors so that we can be better at this. And Lauren and I are excited about helping to lead that change in the future. So we've been talking a lot about purpose. And I wanted to take this opportunity, since I've got the stage, to share some personal reflections and experiences on the topic. Now, in my 15 years at FSG, I've had the great privilege of working with a number of companies on helping them with their social purpose aspirations. I've worked shoulder to shoulder with many of you. As a result, I have a deep appreciation for both the opportunities and the challenges in doing this work. It's hard. I know how difficult it is, both from a strategic and operational perspective. So to bring this to life, I just want to share a recent client experience that I had. So we were doing work with a multinational conglomerate. It was essentially a project to identify and develop purpose-led growth opportunities. Okay? So this company did have a stated purpose. It was, just for the record, wasn't one of the ones that Michael put up on the screen yesterday. It did have a social purpose. I'm not going to read the purpose because I don't want to give away who the company is, but the stated social purpose had a high-level reference to improving people's lives. Okay? So that's a good starting point. But as we got into the project, we discovered several barriers to achieving that purpose. I'll describe a couple of those. So first, as we started interviewing senior executives, as we typically do, we sit down in the corner office and ask them, what are you proud about in terms of the purpose you've done, and what are some opportunities for your company to have more purpose? And it was interesting to hear the responses. It was almost to a person, they said some form of everything we do is purpose-driven. And there's no company that is more purpose-driven than ours. This was surprising to me, curious really. I've been doing this work for years, going to these conferences, reading lots of reports. I'd never seen or heard anything about this company's purpose work. So what's going on? Well, in actuality, from their perspective, purpose basically just meant meeting a consumer's convenience needs or meeting a B2B customer's quality or cost reduction needs. In other words, the company's purpose did not necessarily mean addressing unmet societal needs, such as those articulated by the UN Sustainable Development Goals. It essentially meant meeting customer needs. So, barrier number one, their stated social purpose was actually just a hollow, feel-good slogan, much like some of the ones we saw last night from Michael's speech. Second, as part of this project, we did actually identify some really high potential, exciting business growth opportunities that were addressing deep societal needs. And there were champions internally who were really excited to pursue this, both in the business units and in relevant functional units, sustainability and others. Great. Here we are. So what happened? Well, unfortunately, what didn't exist were the internal conditions necessary to actually support driving those forward. It wasn't clear where the budget was going to come from. Was this going to come from the business unit? Was this going to come from some internal innovation group? Was this going to come from sustainability or somewhere else? Proper incentives didn't exist to motivate employees or leaders to actually move beyond business as usual approaches. And leaders lacked the mental models and the skills necessary to consider societal problems as being new sources of business growth. So barrier number two, the company was not set up either strategically or operationally to realize their purpose-driven growth aspirations. So this was challenging. Despite great ideas and great opportunities, things stalled. Things did not move forward. And I'll share personally, this is my job, professionally, we're trying to move these things forward. I had some mixed emotions about this project. On one hand, this project was a source of deep frustration. The company had a stated social purpose. It had world-class innovation capabilities, but was missing a tremendous opportunity to deliver on the promise of purpose. On the other hand, this project was also a source of deep motivation for me. Motivation to continue to advance FSG's work on purpose and shared value so we could continue to try to reduce these barriers for other companies to try to do this work. And that brings us back to today, seeking to better understand how to deliver on the promise of purpose. So yesterday we had all sorts of conversations about purpose, and we know that purpose means different things to different people. I want to share what we're thinking about in terms of how we define purpose. And we believe that the potential for positive impact starts with a purpose worth having. What do we mean by that, a purpose worth having? At FSG and SVI, we define a purpose worth having as a company's reason for being that addresses unmet social needs and creates financial value for the company. I'll repeat that. A company's reason for being that addresses unmet social needs and creates financial value for the company. And we ascribe a purpose worth having as having 4 attributes, and I'll take you through each of those 4 because I think this is important. what does this actually look like? Because there's a whole range of what purpose looks like. This is what a purpose worth having looks like. So first, a company's purpose must be authentic. It should reflect the company's core values and culture. A purpose cannot be made up from scratch for a PR or marketing campaign. To be authentic, a company must spend time reflecting on its origins and its journey to being the company it is today. Second, a company's purpose must be significant. With the challenges that we are confronting today and the need for the private sector to play a critical role in addressing these challenges, a company's purpose should be ambitious and commit to solve a serious social or environmental problem. Third, a company's purpose needs to be profitable. We believe that purpose that drives measurable value for the company will be sustained and scaled to create more impact. If purpose is not linked to profit, there are significant impediments to how deeply it can be integrated in the strategy and culture. This is the essence of the shared value concept. And fourth, a company's purpose needs to be more than just words. Purpose is not a poster for a conference room wall. It should be a serious commitment that the company makes, and its leaders should be ready to hold themselves accountable to achieving their goals. It should help drive strategy, operation, people, and decision-making at every level, every day. So, authentic, significant, profitable, and more than just words. That describes a purpose worth having. So let's consider CVS Health as an example of a purpose worth having. Most folks know the CVS story. For folks that don't, I will describe it briefly. We had Helena Fuchs, who was the president of CVS Stores, on stage at this event a few years ago describing their multi-year transformation. I'll tick through some of the things just so you can get a flavor for it. It dates back to 2011. They transformed how they considered their business. They redefined it from a retail pharmacy to a company focused on improving patient health. Their vision statement, we strive to improve the quality of human life. Their mission, helping people on the path to better health. But they didn't stop there. In 2014, they changed their name to CVS Health, and they eliminated the category of tobacco, which is a $2 billion category. Most folks have heard that story. CVS's Minute Clinics, which are the ability to go in the CVS store or in Target stores and get treatment for a certain number of patient maladies, is serving 1,100 locations in 33 states in the United States, representing 37 million patient visits. And they didn't stop there. They started to say, well, if we're a purpose-driven company, what about all the unhealthy food that we sell in our stores? So they reflected on the fact that they had candy bars and chocolate being sold at the checkout counter and said, well, let's replace that with healthier foods like nuts and granola bars. Or let's look at the beverage coolers and have the healthier drinks at the front of the store and the less healthy drinks at the back of the store. You could argue whether they should eliminate it completely, but they reflected on the extent to which those should be changed. And they also, as folks know, they recently acquired Aetna, a health insurance company, which helps them further vertically integrate to achieve healthier outcomes. At CVS Health, purpose is not a poster on the conference room wall. It drives strategy, it drives operations, it drives people, and it drives culture. So we know that purpose can be a powerful catalyst for change at a time when our society deeply, deeply needs the private sector to play a transformational role. Today, we look forward to hearing from folks and learning together on these conversations with senior executives, and they will help us talk through what they're doing in strategy, what they're doing in operations, what they're doing with people, and what they're doing with culture. We will hear how purpose can be infused throughout all of those elements of the company, and we will hear how when a company delivers on its promise of purpose, they can drive impact for society and bottom line results for the company. So thank you